Fritz Haber, an undisputed genius born in Germany in the 1860s, and he saved more lives than potentially anyone else in human history. And he saved those lives completely accidentally while trying to...
He saved more lives than anybody ever in history, but he saved them accidentally by trying to find horrible ways.
Oh, I love you more than words can say.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy Shady Shade, the one and the only, and we are back here again today on this beautiful day, guys. Okay, on this beautiful day, ik ben Shady Shade the Anzika. So, guys, today we are going to be checking Fritz Haber. Okay, you guys said to me, check out this guy. Check out this guy. It was just like, Shady, you've checked out a lot of things. Check out Fritz Haber. Alright guys, without saying too much, I'm going to jump on this right away and see what Fritz Haber has got. But before we start this video, guys, all I need from you is to go down quickly, smash like button, subscribe, give me some love. Love. Let's get this started, okay? Let's get straight to action. First of all, I'm just going to smash like, subscribe, give him some love. Amazing. So, Fritz Haber, an undisputed genius born in Germany in the 1860s.
Fritz Haber, an undisputed genius born in Germany in the 1860s, and he saved more lives than potentially anyone else in human history. And he saved those lives completely accidentally while trying to figure out horrible ways to kill people. He was as...
Wait, he saved more lives than anybody ever in history, but he saved them accidentally by trying to find horrible ways to kill him. Wait, I didn't get that. Let's take that back again.
Fritz Haber, an undisputed genius born in Germany in the 1860s, and he saved more lives than potentially anyone else in human history. And he saved those lives completely accidentally while trying to figure out horrible ways to kill people. He was as brilliant as he was heartless.
You're telling me this man saved more people in history than anybody else potentially, but he didn't save them because he wanted to save them. He saved them by accident.
The paradoxical life of Fritz Haber begins in 1868 in Breslau, what is now Poland. Raised in a strict Jewish household, Haber converted to Lutheranism in his 20s and spent the next several decades trying to hide his Jewish heritage. From an early age, Haber excelled at the sciences, climbing the academic ranks until he found his niche in the new field of physical chemistry, which I took in undergrad, and it's hard stuff. By 1905, he had completed his third book, which not only led to his promotion to full professor, but also hinted at some of his very first experiments into something called nitrogen fixing, something that would change the world. Invention number one. In 1900, Earth's population was about 1.6 billion people. Now there are 5.5 billion more. There are 7 billion of us walking around today because we've eaten food, which has given us the energy to do awesome things like watch videos on YouTube. In 1898, a British chemist, Sir William Crookes, predicted that the Earth's population would outpace the supply of wheat by about 1931. Intensive farming was depleting the nitrogen in the soil, raising fears of a global food crisis. Although nitrogen makes up about 78% of our atmosphere, it exists as an exceedingly stable triple-bonded molecule. Diatomic nitrogen are N2. But for plants to actually have access to the nitrogen to help build themselves, it has to be fixed, or converted into the more reactive ammonia, which is NH3. Before Haber, almost all nitrogen was fixed over hundreds of years by microorganisms in the soil, but rich organic soils were rapidly disappearing. So at that time, most industrialized countries like Germany relied on mined animal manure, particularly bat guano from South America, to make nitrogen-based fertilizers. Yeah, and I should also probably mention that nitrogen, fixed nitrogen, is also extremely useful for creating bombs. By the early...
Okay, so basically you're trying to tell me that without Fritz Haber, that the human population would have been way less than it is right now. Okay, because he found a way to do something called nitrogen fixing. Because nitrogen is in a very stable form, N2, but he needed to break it down to get the NH3, which is ammonia. Okay.
In the early 1900s, Haber was realizing that it was possible to synthesize ammonia from atmospheric nitrogen and hydrogen under some specific circumstances. In 1908, Haber figured out that if he combined atmospheric nitrogen with hydrogen under immense heat, like 500 degrees Celsius, and immense pressure, like 150 to 200 atmospheres, circulated over a catalyst like uranium or osmium, it was possible to synthesize ammonia. By 1913, the process had been refined and commercialized with the help of a German chemist, Karl Bosch, so that ammonia could be produced on an industrial scale. This Haber-Bosch process, as it became known, is widely considered one of the most significant achievements of the 20th century. And although the history is murky here, let's just say it doesn't appear that Haber set out to fix nitrogen to stave off world famine. Most believe he was far more interested in helping Germany make more explosives. Because while ammonia can be made to produce fertilizer, it can also be easily converted into nitric acid, a very important ingredient for explosives. And as World War I got underway in 1914, the Allies blockaded German ports, cutting off Germany's supply to all of those nitrates coming from South America. Thanks in large part to Haber's invention, Germany was able to continue manufacturing ammunition from synthetic nitrate and fight on. And fight they did, thanks to another Haber creation. Invention number 2.
Okay, I see. So basically he was making it to aid the Germans in fighting the war. And he didn't intend to make it to be as a form of fertilizer to help agriculture.
Haber was appointed director of the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Physical Chemistry and Electrochemistry in 1911. When World War I broke out, he was recruited to head up Germany's gas warfare division, and he dropped everything for the opportunity. At this point, Haber put his brilliant chemist's mind to work devising gaseous compounds intended to injure or kill human beings. He first came up with a caustic substance called xylobromide made with bromine, but that froze too easily and proved worthless in battle, so he moved on to chlorine and worked on ways to discharge that chlorine gas in enemy trenches. On April 22, 1915, Haber personally oversaw the first large-scale gas attack in military history in Belgium, as German troops attacked French, Canadian, and Algerian troops with more than 150 tons of the poisonous gas. Chlorine gas proved to be horribly effective. The attack resulted in more than 10,000 injuries and deaths.
Wait, did you say 150,000 tons?
First large-scale gas attack in military history in Belgium, as German troops attacked French, Canadian, and Algerian troops with more than 150 tons of the poisonous gas. The chlorine gas proved to be horribly effective. The attack resulted in more than 10,000 injuries and deaths, many of those people drowning as fluid built up in their lungs. Haber returned to Berlin to throw...
Think of a painful death, like you're on land, but just breathing the gas and you drown. Like you drown even though you're not in water because the fluid builds up inside of you. That is so horrible, horrific.
To throw a dinner party to celebrate his fantastic new method of killing people in the most horrific and painful way possible, where his wife Clara, a successful chemist in her own right, told him that she could not live with him using their science to create such horrible weapons. Presumably, Haber told her to get out of his grill and mind her own business because that night, she shot herself in the chest. Haber was so shaken by her dramatic action in favor of a more human world that he stopped all work on chemical weapons, and no, I'm just kidding, he actually left the following day to oversee a gas attack on the Russian front and continued to supervise Germany's chemical warfare program.
Oh my goodness, like he was just focused on that, all his creations. Okay, let's continue.
Always desperate to prove his patriotism, he oversaw the development of mustard gas, which proved even more effective than chlorine because it was heavy and settled in the trenches. He also helped invent a gas mask for German troops after Allied forces began using chemical weapons themselves. Despite Haber's best efforts, Germany lost that war. You know that, at least I hope you know that. But what you might not know is that in 1919, Haber was awarded the Nobel Prize for Chemistry for improving the standards of agriculture and the well-being of mankind. I do not. Naturally, this award caused a bit of controversy, and if you ever want to see what a whitewashed biography looks like, go take a look online at the official Nobel Prize write-up on Haber, which to this day devotes all of a half of a sentence to Haber's work on chemical weapons. Then again, Alfred Nobel is best known as the inventor of dynamite, so maybe it makes sense. The year after receiving his Nobel Prize, Haber was charged with war crimes, but was never prosecuted. Still, Germany's defeat was a crushing blow to him personally, and he vowed to pay off all of Germany's monetary war reparations by himself. And he tried to do it. I you not once again by extracting gold from seawater. There's a lot of gold in seawater. It's just hard to get out. There's so much sea and there's gold in it, and he was like, I can use chemistry! For 6 years in the 1920s, with the help of an experimental ship, Haber searched the oceans for bling, and he came up pretty much empty-handed. By the early 1930s, with Hitler rising to power and anti-Semitism growing, Haber could no longer hide his Jewish roots, and despite the fact that he was such a tireless proponent of the German cause, he was forced to resign from the Wilhelm Institute in 1933 and was essentially kicked out of the country that he loved so much. He died in Switzerland at the age of 65.
You see that? You see that? Dedicated his life to a cause. To a cause. At the end of the day, they were like, look, we don't need you. Get out of here. Go away. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Just imagine that. But though, what he did though, crazy. Like his intentions were mad, were gory. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, he was thinking of trying to pay all of Germany's reparations by trying to like use chemistry to extract more gold from the sea. But anyway, this is history. Let's continue.
The following year. Legacy. The story of Fritz Haber does not end there. His inventions and contributions had a continued legacy in the hands of other chemists, and they too are grim. Earlier in his career, Haber had invented an insecticide called Zyklon A, without any actual goal of killing people this time. It was one of his inventions that he actually didn't want to hurt people with. But it wasn't a particularly notable invention, except that in the years that followed, German scientists tinkered with the formula to produce a new gas called Zyklon B. Specifically, they removed its strong warning odor. The gas was used in Hitler's concentration camps to kill millions of prisoners during World War II. Among the victims, members of Haber's own family. As for the nitrogen fixing process that Haber co-invented, even its benefits are increasingly questionable. Today, factories around the world make over 100 million tons of synthetic nitrogen-based fertilizer every year, and an estimated 2 billion people depend on the Haber-Bosch process to grow their food. But the long-term environmental impact of this nitrogen-fixing process has been kind of frightening. Synthetic fertilizers are chronically overused, and the nitrate runoff from farms around the world is having a devastating impact on water quality. Runoff from fertilizers sets off explosive growths of algae in waterways and oceans. As the enormous mats of algae decompose, they suck oxygen from the water, creating enormous dead zones where no aquatic life, save a few jellyfish, can exist. Here in the US, the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico expands to more than 20,000 square kilometers each summer, and each year it gets bigger. The Pew Oceans Commission currently lists nitrogen fertilizer as the main source of oceanic pollution. Beyond that, nitrogen fertilizers also release large quantities of nitrogen oxide into the air, a greenhouse gas 300 times more heat-trapping than carbon dioxide. Now, Fritz Haber couldn't have predicted the environmental impact of the invention that bears his name, but I don't really think he would care. Creating fertilizer wasn't even his top priority when he set out to capture nitrogen out of the air. His goal was to keep his country armed for war, and he ended up feeding half of the world in the process. As history reminds us again and again, science isn't good or bad, it's only true. The people with the best intentions can have the worst impacts, and those who only want to kill might end up saving billions of lives. Science doesn't care. It's up to us to decide what we do with it.
Yo, lovely. Very lovely. Yo, you're a very good host. This gentleman is a very, very good host, okay? Like, I really, really enjoyed this. Like, he made it so interesting. Like, his mannerisms, his attitude, his dry humor. Like, him talking and not laughing at the same time. But, like, just made it so interesting. Easy to digest and take in. Okie dokie. Fritz Haber. Okay, he set out with bad intentions and ended up saving more lives than anybody ever. His intentions was to help Germany keep on fighting, produce nitrates for the bombs. Also, he went on ahead to make the poison gas. Like, he was the inventor of the poison gas. Yo, that's a very horrible way to die. Like, inhaling some gases and drowning. Like, drowning from yo, I can't begin to imagine. Like, someone can't breathe. Just like, oh, you can't breathe, you're choking and boom, you're just gone. How did he die? Drowned. They drowned. How did they drown? Just crazy. And then he made the mustard gas as well. Wow. But then at the end of the day, they used his own inventions to also kill members of his family. Yo, that is so sad. You see the thing about humanity, yeah? It's just so crazy. It is so crazy. Like, you're there fighting hard for something, end of the day, they don't even care about you. They're like, yo, get out. Like, no one wants you. Yeah, you see how he went hard, like he was fighting so hard for Germany. He hid his Jewish heritage, fighting so hard for a country he loved. End of the day, they found out that, oh, you're Jewish. And yeah, he got kicked out. They used his inventions to kill lots of people, of each part were members of his family. That's devastating. Too devastating. Well, at the end of the day, at least he helped to save over half of the human population. Anyway, guys, this video boy Shady Shade, the one and the only. Thank you very much for this. After I checked a lot of German inventions last week, you guys are telling me, Shady, there's more, check out more. I got sent this link as well. Actually, not just this link, but I got sent quite a few. Yeah, saying check out Fritz Haber. And then, guys, I've seen this. This guy was a genius. Like genius, even though he was like an evil scientist, but he was a genius. Well, to the whole world was evil, but he was supporting Germany. So to Germany was like, okay, he's supporting his people, which is good for his people, but it is negative for other people. But at the end of the day, he saved like the whole of the world, okay? Whole of the world, even though it was by mistake, but yeah, still saved the world. Alright guys, video about Shady Shade one and only. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Also make sure you smash like, subscribe, give me some love. It's gonna be a peace out, guys.
Baby like you, all the girls I meet, they look like you. But these girls I meet can't replace you. Baby like you, all the things I said to you were true. That I was happy till you left me blue. They see me every weekend, I'm out.